Hello, I am Jan from Prague, the Czech Republic, and in this video we are going to take a closer look at the Canon RF 100-400mm and affordable telephoto lens that's well suited for wildlife photography. To put it to the test, I took it to Prague Zoo, and through roughly 200 sample photos we'll see what to expect from it in real-world use, how sharp it is at different apertures, and whether that f5.6 to 8 aperture is really limiting. I suggest we start with an overview of some technical specs. So yes, obviously this is the lens, this is the Canon RF 100-400mm. I was testing in Prague Zoo. Unfortunately, the weather was not really exciting, but as you'll see, it actually helped us to get some interesting sample photos. And I was using Canon R6V, which is a new full frame. First, I'd like you to see two scenes I really loved and two series of photos which were really impressive for me. So here is the first one. This is obviously a flamingo bathing in its lake, and we'll see many more details. I'll show you many more photos, and the point is that because of the weather I was most of the time using the aperture f8. Second scene, second sequence I was really impressed with are these amazing parrots, these lorikeets. I should mention that I decided to use full frame camera, the new R6V, which I found quite impressive for the task because you can clearly see the advantage of full frame. Having said that, obviously for many users the logic would be to use it on a crop sensor, APS-C camera like Canon R7, which would make it even more useful for zooming to detail, zooming to bigger distance. But still, if you see these details, it's clear that combination of the, well, not the most expensive lens, but a new full frame was quite nice. And yes, these are photos, these are the crops from them, and if you zoom to details, you will certainly be impressed. If we want to go systematically, this is 100 and we are zooming towards the bird. And yes, this is 400 and this is in the detail shot at aperture f8. It means it's wide open, and photographers would typically expect that the results would be softer, the photos would not be as sharp as you would like, but as we'll see, it's actually quite good. One more example where you can see what it means to zoom with this lens. So we are going from 100 to 300 here, and from 100 to full maximum 400, which is right here. And again, f8 and pretty sharp results. If you want to see a full sequence of different apertures, this is 400, so we start at 8, and the result is quite nice, quite decent, and we are going up from 9, 11 to rather strange and extreme 32. Now, I would never do that, I would never go that far, but what I'm trying you to see is obviously that the bokeh, the level of blur, is going down once we use higher aperture numbers, which is a basic physics and you won't be surprised. Once you start rising the f number, the exposure time is getting longer and longer and longer, and you have to set ISO to really high levels if you want to have it perfectly sharp. So you simply have to be really careful about setting. One more example, a beautiful parrot and a drop of rain passing his head. And if you analyze the shot, you see that I really had to push the ISO speed level to 6400, which is quite a lot. And still the exposure time is not excitingly short. So be really careful. But from the point of sharpness, the aperture 8 is not a problem at all, which is really surprising. One more example, going from aperture 8 to aperture 32. Well, it means it's really extreme, but still I want you to see what is the background doing and how beautifully we are able to blur it behind the flowers. And really action scene, the snail is running through a bench in the zoo, and I'm starting at f8 and going to f22. So it's perfectly blurred here. and it's getting less and less and less blurred, but still, it's pretty impressive. Just to sum up once again the key principle, once we are shooting wide open, it means that it might be somehow softer. So typically, if the light is perfect, I will also use something like 9 or 10, but under these conditions it was not possible. So it actually gave us the opportunity to test it in quite tough conditions. Now I want you to see some more examples of different apertures. So this is 5.6 and of course I already mentioned that I would typically be trying not to use wide open, but yes, it's not bad at all. 7.1, it's not the full zoom, but it's sharp, and especially if you are using full frame, you will really be impressed. What matters most, what we already mentioned, what we already discussed, the Aperture 8. If the weather is like I had in the zoo, you'll be forced to shoot to Aperture f8, and one of the key principles, one of the key missions of this review is to test what happens if you use it. And obviously the conclusion is up to you, and I'm giving you a lot of examples, but my conclusion is that results are quite impressive. The photos are not soft, you can read a lot of details even when you are shooting wide open. So a lot of details of parrots and other animals. Still, we are at f8, and still I want you to see these examples. And yes, sorry, I just needed to include that amazing flamingo once again. Again, f8. f9 would be my choice if the weather was better and if I really wanted to make the photo slightly sharper. Once more, it's one of the key principles of photography that it's always better to raise the F numbers at least slightly to get sharper results. And one of the examples is right here. F10, once more, some details are here. So once we get better weather, this would also be a great option. And these are some extreme examples: F18 and swimming hippo, F22, and once again, the amazing bird. Now, if you are not tired by all these examples, all these animals, and all these shots from rainy day, here are some more examples. And I will be going really quickly, and I really apologize for that, but aim is not to impress you. The aim is to give you examples of photos, to give you a lot of testing shots, so you are really able to see what you need to see and got an impression of what to expect should you buy this lens. And once again, I have to stress the conditions were really tough, but at the same time I was quite impressed because I certainly would not hesitate to buy it if I am a photographer who needs to save some money, maybe reluctant whether to invest into something which is not expensive at all. If you study these shots very carefully, you certainly will not be disappointed because they are well sharp, they are quite nice. And once more, I should stress that obviously one of the most reasonable usage would not be to use it on full frame like I did here in this review, but to use it on APS-C camera like Canon R7, where you would be even able to get more cropped shot, which might be useful in many of these cases. But at the same time, yes, of course, the full frame is always full frame. So if you then study details of these lovely parrots, you'll always be impressed. So it's up to you. The only limit would be that you have to be extremely careful when setting the camera because, as you can see here, it's very easy to suddenly have the combination of quite long exposure time, quite high ISO. So yes, it won't work if you are not experienced photographer, but it's not hard. It's very easy, but it's important to mention it. It's important to note that it's a sort of paradox, but you have to be extremely good in setting this camera. You have to be extremely good in theory. It means you should know which time is useful for what. But once you pass this test, so to say, you'll be really certainly happy because the quality is better than I thought, as I already mentioned. Some more shots of this lovely bird, detailed once more. All these shots are at f f8, which means it's quite impressively sharp. And the logic we were used to for many, many years and even decades, that you just should stay away from shooting wide open, does not really apply here. Of course, it's a combination of the camera R6V is a great piece, but still the lens is lens, and one more parrot and some more details. I really love the combination of color. I really loved the combination of the details I was able to get. But once more, be careful. You see the drop is passing the bird, and well, if you are a school student, you should be able to calculate the speed of the drop if I tell you the exposure time. We won't be doing that. What we'll be doing is that I'll show you some more animals, because of course not only the lovely colorful birds are living in the zoo, so some more examples. And once again, I do indeed apologize that I am really going in that incredible speed, but the main aim is to give you option to see and got an impression from what you see. I did not mention, but it's logical that all these shots are unedited, so I did not touch anything. All these photos are JPEGs directly from the camera. If you are an experienced photographer, obviously, you know that in many cases it would be really useful to edit them slightly. But at the same time, if I'm able to avoid editing, it can really be a better option. In these cases where we have a lot of blacks, a lot of whites, a lot of shadows, a lot of lights, it's always quite a complex task to get some reasonable results. So yes, that's why I am stressing that all these shots are unedited JPEGs, which sometimes might need some corrections in color or, well, in the basic settings. But at the same time, they're quite nice. And finally, I apologize a bit because I think this is the third time I'm showing you the sequence of these amazing photos. But I was really impressed here, and this was the moment when I realized, yes, it's not expensive lens, but in the hands of photographers who know what they are doing, it might really be a great tool for great shots. So once again, amazing flamingo in the Prague Zoo and some details of him. So thank you so much for your attention. I hope you liked the video. Take care. I am Jan from Prague, the Czech Republic.